Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for accepting my request for this interaction. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mulkan.
Good morning. So this would be.
And I may tell you, one thing I may tell you, because of this lockdown,
Yes.
I have done hair cutting on my own. It may look funny, but you have to bear it.
No, sir. It looks nice. You look quite handsome and young now.
Thank you.
Right, sir. Sir, if you can tell us when have you completed your studies in law and from where?
I was born in Baroda, now known as Vadodara, in 1950. My father was a very senior advocate in Baroda court. In fact, we belong to a small village, Patan, where there is a taluka court. My father wanted to practice in the High Court. So Baroda was High Court in those days, as there was a kingdom of Shahaji Rao. And after merger, he continued to be in Baroda. There are some lawyers who shifted to Bombay High Court from Baroda, like Mr. H.L. Gokhale, law minister, and some other senior advocates. My father continued at a district court at Vadodara. And since my birth, I've seen, because of my father's office and residence was at the same place. And my father's office started at about 10 o'clock at night, and he used to sit up to 4 o'clock at night. So even at midnight, we used to see clients, and office was full. And that was a great love to see clients, my father interaction with clients. So, and I was a little bit easygoing student. So after completing BCom from MS University, I joined Law College at Vadodara. In those days, Law College was evening college, 3 hours. And few students used to enter the classes. And Baroda University was clever enough. So there was a big garden outside Law College, so that at least student may be attracted to come and sit in the garden. But that is how Law College used to function in those days. Now totally the education is totally changed. So study was a very casual approach. But after becoming a law graduate, I started 4 months practice at Baroda with my father. That during those 4 months, I learned so many things. For example, in one matter, he was arguing one civil case for injunction before a civil judge. The point was that his client was a farmer and he filed a suit. That's the other side is not allowing me to take my kettles through his farm. And therefore, he may be prevented from my client from passing 3 kettles from his farm. So judge granted anti injunction. The defendant is restrained from disturbing the plaintiff when he's taking his cows and other animals from his farm. Thereafter, other side filed an application. That's not by this injunction, my crop will be totally spoiled. And because then I'll be totally losing my agricultural activities. So judge again reverted back to my father that Mr. Majmudar, but you can't allow his farm to be spoiled, his agricultural activities. So my father said, your lordship your honor may modify it, because in those days in the trial court, judges are used to be said, your honor may modify the injunction that I may be allowed to pass through his farm, but in a peaceful manner. So the judge passed an order that plaintiff can take away his animals from his defendant's farm without damaging the crop. But then my father said, but your honor, there is one difficulty. I cannot put this injunction in the ear of my cow. So as an animal, if you put something mouth in the farm, then you will be filing contempt petition. So your order, as far as possible, judge say, okay, as far as possible, the crop will not be spoiled. So I learned so many things, the art of advocacy. My father was a great cross-examiner, and it was hard to see him. Right. Then my brother was a High Court advocate, so I shifted to Gujarat High Court in 1974. My brother, unfortunately, it was difficult for me to adjust because my father used to sit up to 4 o'clock at night. My brother, S.P. Majmudar, used to start office at 7 o'clock and used to complete at 10 o'clock. So initially, I found it difficult to adjust the timing. But then I accustomed with that. Then I learned so many things from my brother's office. And that is how I started my practice. And in 78, my brother became High Court judge. And then I started my independent practice in the Gujarat High Court.
Right, sir. So how difficult, sir, it was for you to shift to Gujarat High Court from settled practice in Vadodara?
I shifted in 78, 74. Initially, I was with my father for 4 months, but I wanted to practice in Gujarat High Court. And my brother was in need of a good assistant. I may not say I was good, but he wanted somebody. So I shifted in 74 end. And in 78, he became High Court judge. So I became independent lawyer thereafter. And at that time, Gujarat High Court was having cream of judges, perhaps finest judges, starting from Justice Vijay Diwan, Justice P.D. Desai, Justice J.B. Mehta, D.A. Desai, M.P. Thakkar, and there are many. It was a treat to argue before High Court judges, and they were so cooperative with juniors that I may give one example. There was a good case. I was arguing before Justice D.A. Desai. He said, "Young man, is it your first matter?" I said, "Yes." Then he said, "You don't argue, notice." So I was so happy. This was a treatment given for juniors, and it was a pleasure to argue before judges in those days when we were juniors.
Right, sir. Sir, can you tell us how have you started your independent practice, and how was it difficult to establish as an independent practice in Gujarat High Court then?
No, as I said, in 78, my brother became a High Court judge. And he had full confidence in me because I had worked for 4 years with him. So many of his matters, where he became judge, they were transferred to me. And from day one, after I became independent, I was having good practice. And I put my hard labor, which is the need of the day for lawyers. And the judges were also kind enough to give patient hearing, because I was semi-senior, and in fact, I was still a junior to that extent. And I used to argue the matter without any tension, because I always believe that there is no sense in arguing the matter with shivering toes, hands. Put your case, and with day one, when I became independent, I started my arguing the matters with full confidence, and I leave it to the client that I've tried my best, and ultimately this is the result.
Sir, any important matters that you recollect that you argued and which becomes a milestone for your career, sir?
The milestone in the sense that I argued all cases with proper labor and hard work. But there was one interesting case. There was a Rentec matter where a client was from Baroda. He was a tenant in arrears and facing decree for eviction. The matter came for admission before Justice A. N. Surti. He was a very liberal and little bit, you may say, socialistic type of a judge. Used to help poor litigants. Then when I argued the matter that, sir, my client could not pay the rent because he went to house of the landlord, he refused to accept the rent orally, everything. And I'm facing the eviction decree. Other side lawyer was a senior lawyer. He said, "My lord, both the courts have passed the decree. So why your lordship can interfere in revision?" That was a revision, little bit wider jurisdiction, the 29(2) of the Rent Act. Then the judge said, "No, no, no." I had not noticed, but he noticed. He said, "See the poverty of this man. He's barefooted. I cannot ignore his poverty." He said that there is no reason to disbelieve this petitioner, who is a barefooted standing before me, and I cannot ignore the fact that you must have gone to pay the rent and landlord must have refused. Therefore, decree set aside, and eviction suit was dismissed. Then we came out of the. I was surprised, of course. I said to my client that, "Mister, you have succeeded, but I failed to understand. You came from Baroda barefooted." He said that, "Sir, here there is a month of Shravan, and in Shravan month I am not putting shoes on my." So I said, "Please, you get out immediately. Otherwise, if other side advocate hear it, he will again ask the judge to review the order." These are very interesting things which happened. There was another interesting case. I was arguing before Justice P.D. Desai, where my client was transferred from Baroda to Navsari. He was a bank employee. And he said that because of my non-difference with my wife, that she made a representation to the bank that I should be transferred. So on my wife's representation, I am transferred, which is not proper. So I took that point in a petition, and it came before Justice P.D. Desai. The point was that I am transferred only at the instance of my wife, not for any other shortcoming in my employment with the bank. Justice P.D. Desai said that, "Mr. Majumdar, I can't accept such thing." So he dismissed the petition by saying that the grievance of the petitioner seems to be more imaginary than the real one. The grievance of the petitioner seems to be more imaginary than the real one.
Right.
And therefore, I don't find substance. Petition was rejected. We filed independent appeal before division bench. The matter came before the then Chief Justice M.P. Thakkar. and other judges. He said, Mr. Majmudar, let us find out whether it is really imaginary or real one. So issued notice. The bank advocate came. Justice Thakkar said, Mr. Y is transferred. He said, my lord, we have not honored our own transfer, but his wife made a representation that husband is ill-treating, and therefore we transferred him from Baroda to Navsari. Now, if this point was taken and argued before Justice Desai, my matter would have been allowed.
Right.
But Justice MP Thakkar was having a different approach. So he said, Mr. Majmudar, your client, whether he is ready to put the wife with him, then I will ask you to withdraw the order. So I asked the client. I thought that I have succeeded. I said that if you keep your wife properly with you, then he says, sir, I am ready to go to Navsari, but I will never stay with my wife. Justice Thakkar said, no, then I will not interfere. So same matter, same facts, but the result was different on different grounds. This is how, and as a lawyer, we have to accept. Every judge has his own thinking process, his own views, because they are not computers. And he has his own view. There is nothing wrong if the judge applies his own principle in a matter, but strictly in accordance with law. But these are various experiences. In short time, I will not be able to narrate. Otherwise, the whole day I can give you examples one after another as a lawyer.
Correct.
But then I became senior standing counsel of Government of India in 1999. And I was having large civil practice. And there were different matters of excise, which I never read it. I was not having any practice on that side, custom matters and all that. And the Supreme Court Judge, Justice Ahmad Shah, he was my assistant, standing counsel. And he was a laborious advocate. So I used to pass on bunks of matters, junk of big matters to him. And he used to call the officer. And only those cases where I am specially asked to defend, I used to appear. And but that was also a novel experience. And I will tell you, one big industrial house filed a petition on some refund in some custom matter. And the Government of India officer had not sent any remarks. The advocate came, Mr. Chidambaram, present ex-law minister. He came in a charter flight with Mr. Dushyant Dave. And he argued the point that, sir, this duty should be refunded to me, this and that. Unfortunately, I was not doing any papers on instruction. But I said that, sir, entire cause of action has taken place in Chennai. So this court has no jurisdiction. Court took liberal. No. The part of business is here. So jurisdiction also based here. So ultimately, matter was admitted. Thereafter, I became judge. Then the final matter was allowed. The government department went to Supreme Court. It's a reported judgment, I think 2001 or so. Supreme Court said that no, Gujarat High Court had no territorial jurisdiction. The other side argued, sir, but they have not argued it, and matter was argued on merits. The judges said that no, the first day, the counsel for the government India argued that, judge had recorded. So point was taken, because normally if you don't take jurisdictional point initially, then you cannot do it if you are on merits. So it's a reported judgment, I think 2001 or so. So the matter was allowed. So lawyers should not lose heart. Even in a given case, if you don't get instruction in a government matter, you must take out the point and argue it and leave it to the destiny. But you must make your best effort.
Right, sir. Sir,
there was another case, Mr. Balkan, very interesting.
Yes, please, sir. Please, sir.
Very interesting.
Yes, please.
There was a matter where a Section 9 arbitration petition was filed. Section 9 arbitration petition was filed in a City Civil Court, Ahmedabad. Mr. P.B. Bhatt, who was subsequently elevated as High Court judge, was a judge taking the matter. And other side lawyer, senior lawyer, he argued that, sir, there was a telecom big dispute. That, sir, they are disconnecting our license, they are not renewing. And our representative is pending with Government of India, Ministry of Telecom. And he had given bank guarantee of 200 crore rupees. That was a very big matter in City Civil Court. So he wanted that till arbitration is decided, our license should be continued. Then I took instruction, and government said that you may appear as a special counsel in City Civil Court. And then I asked a point that whether the bank guarantee continues. The officer said, sir, there is a big fault on our part. By negligence, we could get the bank guarantee extended. So I was in difficulty, and that point struck to me. Then I took instruction that we may say that, sir, for 1 week we will not disconnect. We will continue the license for 1 week, provided he agrees to and undertake to give fresh bank guarantee for a couple of months. He said, sir, that will be greatly obliged. Then matter came before the judge. And I gave that point that, sir, this is our suggestion, though legally he has no right after license is put to an end. But till cabinet is going to meet within 10 days, we will continue the license, provided he extend the bank guarantee for 3 months. Others had agreed. And the judge said there is a unique case that it is decided in 2 months, 2 days, where the stake is of 200 crore. That was the biggest matter in City Civil Court. That is how, as a lawyer, to make some innovations and try to find out the point.
Very true, sir. Very true. Sir, you have been elected as a president of Gujarat High Court Advocate Association. So how was that, and why have you chose to contest the election? What was the reason for contesting?
No, the reason was, at that time I was a little bit young, and one very senior advocate, Mr. K.J. Shetna, he was a president since last 10 years. And everybody said to the bar that no advocate can defeat him in the election. So young advocates, they said that you must contest it, we'll see, we will help you as a juniors. So many juniors, and I tried to find out. And one of my junior advocates, he was a Parsi in my office. He said that you must contest the election. And Mr. K.J. Shetna, at his instance, I came to your office, belongs to my community. I will see that I will make proper canvassing. So it gave me great encouragement and boost. And so I contested the election. And Mr. Shetna was very sharp advocate. And he realized that if ultimately the matter goes by of election, there may be chances that he may lose. So he said that in Gujarati, you become president this time, I will help you. I am withdrawing the nomination. So I was elected unanimously without election for the first time after election took place in Gujarat High Court. But interesting thing, this Kripal was Chief Justice. Justice Kripal was Chief Justice and Chief Judge of Gujarat High Court. Then he started new innovation, fill up some forms, this and that. So from day one, advocate went on rampage and strike. So my first day started with a strike. Perhaps Justice Kripal must have thought that he is a new president, perhaps things may go smoothly. But I said that, sir, we will not attend the court till you revise it. So he appointed a committee. He, Justice Kalla and some 2-3 other judges were there. And they modified it. So after 15 days, we resumed the work. That is how my starting experience as a president was there. After some time, Sri Keshubhai Patel was Chief Minister of Gujarat. He introduced court fee amendment by which court fee was increased to a great extent. Again, there was a strike. And advocates of the entire Gujarat said that Gujarat High Court must take the lead. Though I was never interested in any strike, etc. But I was compelled to observe strike. And there was a very tough time as a president for me. And we went indefinite strike for the entire state. Then Chief Minister and our speaker, one Mr. Harish Chandra Patel was an advocate. And he said, and his son, Vijay Patel was my secretary. And I told Mr. Vijay Patel that though you are secretary, I don't have any political connection, but you are member of political party. But we should keep politics out of our court campus. He agreed. And he did his best. We got appointment with Chief Minister and we made solid representation. He withdrew court fee increase totally. There was a great celebration in the entire state. So that is how I completed my term as a president. But then I said that no, I will not repeat it. It is enough, is enough.
Right, sir. Sir, we have always seen that strike is not the proper recourse for the.
I'm unable to get the voice.
Sir, we have always been, there are judgments even now that strike is not the proper option for the advocate to take the recourse. Am I audible?
Pardon?
Am I audible? Sir, we have always been taught, and we have always been seeing from various judgments of the Supreme Court that strike is not the proper recourse that an advocate should undertake. However, due to certain reasons, we are compelled to do that. So, what is your advice to the upcoming presidents of the various bars from Taluka level right to Supreme Court association level, as to what should be their attitude towards such situation where we shall not go into strike, but then what recourses you advise them to undergo?
So, It's a very good question you have put it to me. Normally, one should not resort to strike because lawyers are trustee for the clients. We have to argue their case. But in a given case, if you are compelled, if the circumstances are such, there is nothing wrong. There was a non-cooperation from bar even at the time of English people ruling the country. I may tell you an example of Mahabharata. When Bhim was fighting against Duryodhan, he was verged of defeat. And as per the rules of game, you could not have given blow on the legs, etc.
Below the abdomen.
Yeah. Then Krishna, he was a great advisor. Krishna gave him hint that you are likely to get defeat. Put now blow on the leg of Bhim, then only will die. He did it. Then Duryodhan at the time of death shouted that this is injustice and against the rule of the game. Then Krishna said that you have violated the rule by Draupadi, Vastrada, etc. Where were your dharma? Where were your justice at that time? So one who commits breach of law cannot compel about breach of rules of law. That is the rule of peri delicto, which we have accepted in our principle. So unless there is a compelling circumstances, you should not resort to that. But if there is a terrific circumstances, then remember the Krishna in your mind, and then you can observe the strike, because I've seen that during court fee agitation, because of strike, it succeeded. There are many agitations of the lawyers which have succeeded before strike, but the agitation should be in public cause for the national interest, not for just minor or trifle thing. But that balance lawyers have to maintain. And even judges, in a given case, even if there are strike, if they think that the reason is proper, they are not bothering, frankly speaking.
Right, sir. So, can you tell us why have you decided to become a judge why have you decided to become a judge?
Oh, why I have decided to become judge? There are various reasons. Frankly, I was having good practice. I was a senior counsel for the government of India.
Right, sir.
But some of my friends were on the bench. Justice James Panchal, who was a bench, he was my good friend. Justice B.C. Patel, Justice C.K. Thakkar. One of the judge telephoned me that, why don't you become judge? You have good practice, you have enough money. And in fact, from day one, I was never after money, even when I was a lawyer. So I said, okay. Then Justice B.C. Patel was in collegium. This is also a very interesting thing. He called me that, Mr. Majmudar, you have earned enough. Now it is your duty to come to this side and try to do justice to the litigants whose case comes before you. I say, okay, sir, I have no objection when you are saying so. And of course, by grace of God, I have earned also. So he said, okay, then be ready. We will, Chief Justice will give you call. Justice Balakrishan was the Chief Justice in Gujarat High Court. He will call you the call. And you have to go and put it to him that you are willing. On the same night, I got telephone from my brother, S.P. Majmudar, who was in Supreme Court. In fact, he was in Collegium also, number 3. He said, Pradeep, do you want to become High Court judge? I said that, no, Justice Patel called me and I could not say no. I said, who told you? Because I had not even discussed. He said that Chief Justice Balakrishan telephoned to me that your brother has shown willingness to become a judge. But suppose if I recommend his name, then somebody will feel that his brother in Supreme Court, therefore I have recommended. So it may mar my prospect to go to the Supreme Court. And therefore he was afraid. Frankly, it has happened. So he said that he is a little bit afraid. So if you can postpone your decision, after he is not in Gujarat High Court, you can revive. Any judge would accept your name, looking to your goodwill and your practice. So I say, okay, when my brother advised. So I decided not to become a judge. But then somebody said that Justice B.C. Patel is a very strong-headed judge. So you have to inform him that you are going to withdraw. If you straightway withdraw from Chief Justice, he will feel that you have not act as per what you said to him. So I went to Justice B.C. Patel's chamber. That, sir, I am withdrawing my request. So he was shouting, why? You are only after money and this is not proper. If your wife is against, I will telephone to her. Tell me the reason. I said, sir, the real reason is this. Because I am always truthful. I never hide myself from telling truth to anybody.
Right.
So he said, no, there is no ground. Even Chief Justice may not get his chance. It is no ground and you have to say yes. Next day I call Called you at 10:30 in his, because court used to start at 11 in his chamber. Justice Balakrishnan said that, Mr. Majumdar, we have decided to consider your name as a High Court judge. Will you agree? I said that, sir, though I have my own difficulties, but since it's a call of duty, I am willing. So he said, okay, you fill up some form. I don't remember the form, nature, etc. I did it, and within 6 or 8 months, straight away the name was cleared. Of course, there was no else. And that is how it's a history that I became a judge. And perhaps my brother was in college, he did not say it. Chief Justice Anand and Justice Bharucha were there. That is my information, and that is how I became the judge. But I must say that I've enjoyed both as a lawyer, as a practicing lawyer, both as a judge also. And roles are different, of course.
But sir, these days we have seen usually that advocates having sound practice, they may not actually prefer to become a judge. Rather, they will not agree to become a judge. And that's how we sometimes may not get judges who are actually having a sound practice, advocates who are having a sound practice. So what is your call on that, on for such advocates who are having sound practice and
Mr. Malkar? No, very nice question you have put it. If your only intention is to make money and not to help the institution, you may continue that. But I feel, and in fact, I must say, Justice Rohinton Nariman is the greatest example. Even Justice Lalit and our subsequent judge, with humbling practice, they have joined. Do you think that they were, in fact, they remained as a lawyer in Supreme Court? They must have earned thousands of rupees more, because judge's salary of 1 month is equal to even half a day's performance as a lawyer.
Very true, sir. Very true.
They opted it. We must salute them because of that the institution is able to get great judges, good judges.
No, they are.
I am not here to please anybody. At my age, I am not required even to please anybody. But I feel that these are the people we should take proud of it. For example, there are some lawyers who are extremely good lawyers. They would have become asset to the institution, but only in order to see that monetary they may suffer, they will refuse. But I feel that the institution which have given you so much money, so much credit, so much goodwill, when it's a time to give it back, you must give it. And if you want qualitative judgments, this is most important. If you want that qualitative judgment should be given, a litigant should not be deprived of good judges only because good judges have refused to become judge. Then there will be a casualty of justice. And I appeal to my young lawyers, senior lawyers, that please kindly come, join the bench, help the nation, help the judiciary. It will enhance the reputation, because today, unfortunately, little bit reputation is at tarnished so far as judiciary is concerned for various reasons. And lawyers should not be afraid that if they become judges, then if some sensitive decision is given, they will face consequences. Don't bother. Feel the consequences. Still do your duty. Government is also, everybody in the government is also like a good judge. They will not do injustice to anybody. If any honest, impartial judgment is given by any judge, unless there is doubtful thing in the mind of government with solid material about that.
Right, sir. No doubt, sir. Justice Nariman, Nageshwar Rao, Lalit, and Justice Malhotra, they happens to be a league apart. We cannot doubt that. Sir, can you just tell us your experience as a judge in different high courts? You have been a judge of a Gujarat High Court, Rajasthan High Court, then Bombay High Court. So how was your different experience in different high courts?
Oh, I have very vivid experiences in each of the high courts. Starting with Gujarat High Court, my first thing was with Justice B.C. Patel. Within few days, a PIL came before our court. The point was that there are certain buildings which are constructed contrary to the bylaws and corporation rules. And there are so many buildings in Ahmedabad city where there are no fire space installed in the offices. Then Justice Patel said, he was leading the bench, that these can't be tolerated. And I became judge only a few months back. My own, as a lawyer, my own office was there in a building, namely Samruddhi, opposite Gujarat High Court, old High Court. And it was a build, so many lawyers' offices were there. So I never minutely observed when I was a lawyer whether there is a fireplace there on the ground floor or not. And one senior advocate, Mr. K.H. Kazi, he's, by grace of God, is still alive, about 90 years. He was looking after the entire office building. So gradually some names of buildings were given to us. And we passed an order that those buildings who do not install fire safety, their electric connection should be disconnected and water connection, etc. within 15 days. We passed so many orders. And the advocate used to give with list every day. On one day, he gave a list which included my own office, Samruddhi. And many senior advocates are having office in that. So I was put to dilemma. Then I said to Justice Patel that this is my office. Now, whether we can take the matter or not, it was a very difficult decision for a judge. He said that if you think, we may say not before me. I said that, sir, if the matter goes before other bench, if contrary view is taken, the matters in which we have already passed disconnection order, there will be great injustice to them. And we have to give fair treatment to everybody. So I said, we'll take the matter. He said, okay. We took the matter. We passed the order that these following buildings, including Samruddhi, if they don't install electricity, this fire safety, the disconnection should take place. In the same evening, Mr. Kazi sent a bill that every occupant has to give 10,000 for the installation, and I gave the check. And that is how it was continued. Right. Sometimes the judge is put to great difficult situation, and we are required to put balance. There are all chances other bench could have taken different view regarding time-wise, etc. But we have to be consistent in every matter. If the judge wants to get goodwill, he should be consistent in his view in all the matters, not X view in one matter. Then the reputation is totally spoiled. That is what even I give advice to my young judges. Because of my age, I can advise that be consistent in each matter, so that no lawyer can make a grievance that differential treatment is given to the cause or to the advocate concerned.
That's it. Sir, your experience in Rajasthan?
Now Rajasthan High Court.
Right.
Yeah. Rajasthan High Court, I was sitting as a senior judge because immediately I became senior there. Gujarat, I was a little bit junior. My first sitting and my assistant junior judge was Justice Maheshwari, who is now Supreme Court judge. And I said, he guided me that because there was typical Hindi. For example, lastly they used to write Panchat. I said to Justice Maheshwari, what is Panchat? He said, Panchat means order. So Hindi is also different in every state. Really? And he used to help me, and he was very hardworking. And some of the long judgments I asked him to write. And he also said that, sir, I learned many things by sitting with you. It is my great experience as a judge. And there was one case when I was sitting in Jaipur. A workman compensation case came. An employee, one hand was amputated during workman injury. But there were two employers who were fighting each other and nobody was depositing any money. The poor man was standing in the court with one hand. And I said to the advocate, he said, sir, my liability is partial. Others say my liability is not there. I say, oh, we will consider all these things. Initially, each of you may deposit 50,000 each. Let the workman unconditionally withdraw. If ultimately either side succeed, both of you may give undertaking that you will compensate. So that problem with metro spendings is 2 years, and man was coming with one hand since long. With a blessing, he left the court and got 1 lakh. This is how the judge has to function, not mechanically only read the paper like a call. That's computer can decide the matter. Judge is not a computer. He has to apply his mind. He has to try to see that the issue can be settled. And if a litigant goes with a smiling face, I think judge should be the most happy person in the evening at his house.
Right, sir.
Similarly, in Bombay High Court, now you are also asked 3 High Courts.
Yes, sir.
Bombay High Court, I had a great experience. I have learned many things from Bombay High Court even as a judge. In recess, I missed my Bombay recess, and I'm sure that every judge from the High Court who have retired or elevated must be missing the recess of Bombay High Court. We used to sit, Chief Justice Bobde, Justice Chandrachud, Justice Khanvikar, Satar Kumar was Chief Justice. It was so brotherly atmosphere. And outside the court, as my witty nature, I used to give them jokes, so that after 3 years, we have to start hard work with a very nice cool mind. We used to separate, and that is how it was memorable day every day in Bombay High Court. And the great senior advocates, we have learned many things from Bombay High Court. Advocates were prepared so nicely. And I may tell you, one matter came before me in Bombay High Court, where there was a dispute between husband and wife. They were both separated by divorce. The son, minor son, was staying with the mother. Both were extremely qualified doctors. The doctor was having thumping practice, and he was telling me that I'm a doctor of Amitabh Bachchan. He was staying in Jew area, South Indian lawyer. I've forgotten his name, doctor. Then the problem was that after divorce, the lady remarried, and he changed the name of his son to his second husband. So original father, he filed a petition for clarification of the original order. That, sir, she could not have changed my name because I continued as the natural father even after divorce. He was absolutely right in law. So matter was kept in chamber, and both side advocate was present. I said to the mother that, madam, you could not have changed the name of your husband so far as father's name is concerned, because your husband original husband continued to be the natural father. Even after divorce, your new husband cannot get his name.
Right.
In law, I was absolutely right. Then she said that, sir, but there's a technical difficulty. I know. I said, what is it? He said that my child is extremely expert in education. Now, in every school competition, he's getting first prize. And there is an invitation from the school that parents should remain present. So I and my new husband used to go with the child. And naturally, they will ask the name of his husband's name, this and that. So it was a very difficult situation. So he decided that there is no other option. Under these circumstances, we were compelled to give name of new husband in the school record. Right. If your lordship may say, we may revert back. So she was also right. So I put to the doctor that you are such a qualified good doctor and you love your child. He said, yes. I said, this is a difficulty. If you love your child, should you not allow this thing to continue? He said that, sir, as a judge, you find out the solution in law. I am interested in law. If by law, if my name is changed, I'm very happy. I say, both of you are Hindu. He said, yes. Give your child in adoption to this new father. He said that, sir, it is possible. I say, yes. He did it. And both were laughing. The advocates were so happy that, sir, this matter is pending since 2 years. Within 10 minutes, you will find out the solution. The pleasure which I get by passing this order is immense. Then passing the order of restoring the name. That is how I enjoyed my judgeship. And I may tell you, Mr. Malkan.
Yes, sir.
There was a very junior advocate in the Bombay High Court, a lady, arguing one case. The court was functioning for the last day before Diwali vacation. Okay. She had no case. I was a presiding judge. I told my junior judge that let us adjourn the matter after Diwali. He says, why? I said, I'll tell you later on. Then I said, madam, you have absolutely no case. We can dismiss your case today. Instead, we will dismiss it after Diwali vacation. Otherwise, if we dismiss today, you are a junior advocate in a Bombay with a difficulty, you must have got one brief. And your Diwali will be spoiled. Whatever your remaining things with your client, settle it. We will dismiss because our bench was to continue. I will dismiss it after reopening of the first day. She said, okay, sir, thankful. So on reopening, she came that your lordship may pass the order. I said that, are you happy? Have you settled everything? Yes, sir. Because after if you dismiss the matter first, right, remaining fees client will never give. So I said to my brother that at least the lady, a junior advocate, enjoyed Diwali. That's a great thing. And there is nothing wrong if we dismissed today. I was never made for disposal, frankly, as a judge. Otherwise, I could not have decided so much matter by way of settlement. And when I transferred to Bombay High Court, from Gujarat High Court to Bombay, senior advocate, Mr. Rohit Kapadia, is still there. He was president of the bar, original side bar. In my farewell speech, he said, till I remember, that Justice Majmudar's court was such that both the side advocate used to come with a smiling face from the court. So it was difficult to understand who has won, who has lost. And he said that is the greatest. I am not admiring myself, but I am happy that even a losing party went with a smiling face because he knew that he has rightly lost the case. And I never used to scold advocate because the advocate may commit mistake. I was told by one senior advocate that Justice M.C. Chagla never used to scold advocate. Even if he commit mistake, he said that in the court premises, it is your privilege to commit mistake and it is our privilege to pardon your mistake. That is how today you remember M.C. Chagla. And I'm sure that things, even if it is not that sound today, will improve gradually. And I may tell you why I developed this quality as a judge. Because when I was a young lawyer, I used to read some religious books. And there's a great sant, Dongre Maharaj. Perhaps you heard the name of him. He has written Bhagavad.
Of course, yes. Of course.
And in fact, in Baroda, he was my neighbor. But such a great man, he never used to look to anybody. In his Bhagavad, he has written, now this is 500 backs incident. I will give you paging also. In his Bhagavad, there is a chapter. That the chapter is, that is how our religion is based on this. The chapter is that there was one judge before whom a judge of a crow came. That was a very wrong case. Then he said to the judge, now see, this is all 500, 600 dharma, we don't know, but it is in the book. The crow said that your judge, I have no case, but if you give judgment in my favor, I can find out where are your ancestors and I will show you your ancestors. The judge unfortunately thought that he would like to know where is his father, grandfather, his mother. So he was tempted. Then he decided the judgment in favor of that crow who had a wrong case. And he said that now fulfill the promise. I want to see where is my father, where is my mother. Then he said, oh, come with me. So he took that judge with him because, you know, today even Shraddha Paks, we go and put something to the crow.
Correct.
We believe that crow will give it to our ancestors.
Correct.
So the crow took him to some place. And at one dirty place, there was a drainage. And there was insect. He said, this insect is your father. There was another big insect. He said, this is your mother. The judge started weeping that this is the position of my ancestors. Then the crow said that, sir, what it is said, that a judge, he gives such a judgment, his ancestors must face this situation. So if you give wrong judgment, it is not only you, your ancestors. This is, I'll give you the paging of that Bhagavad from Dongre Maharaj. And this is written in our dharma. So I said that as a judge, if I give wrong judgment deliberately, I don't want my ancestors and my parents to be in such a situation. That is how I decided. That apart, that may be friction also. But as a judge, I feel that if you can do justice to somebody, it's an immense pleasure. And that is the greatest satisfaction I've got it during my tenure as a judge.
Right, sir. Even Ramayana says, Nyaya Dharmastya Dharmaya, where there is a justice, the justice will prevail throughout the nation, throughout the country.
No, Mr. Malkan, I may tell you, once Justice D.S. Dharmadhikari, who retired as a Supreme Court judge, said that Pradeep Bhai, after giving judgment in the Supreme Court, every evening I used to go to the temple, praying to the God that, sir, even if by mistake I have committed or given wrong judgment, kindly pardon me even by mistake. So he told me that every evening I am going to temple because court is also temple of justice. People are getting up when you enter the court because you are next to God. If I commit breach of that, and if I am not faithful to the oath which I have taken, I always remember the oath which I have taken at every morning at 11, that, sir, my God, please give me courage that I may act as per the oath I have taken. And I have never tried to act contrary to my oath taken because ultimately I am answerable to Almighty. In Mahabharata it is said that Bhishma was on deathbed on the arrows. Then he asked the Krishna that I have never done anything wrong in my life. Then why this punishment is given? We can think many things from our dharma and shastra, many things wrong. Then Bhishma said, then Krishna said that you are right, you have not done anything. But when there was a Chirharan of Draupadi, if you had said you are an elderly person, stop it, everybody would stop it. But you allow the Chief Justice, the injustice to go on. So one who has right to prevent injustice, continue to do so. His death is on this Bansaya. So this is what our Shastras have said. I'm not saying. But anyway, I've tried my best as a judge, as a lawyer. As a lawyer also, I've never tried to defend absolutely dishonest. Even if I used to say to my government officers that if you don't brief me, I will write a letter to the law ministry So they used to, otherwise there are cases when you may not get feedback in a government matter for a variety of reasons. And a judge should be clever enough to find out truth by going behind the files. That is the role of a judge. But I may tell you another example, that there was an opening of our Gandhinagar court. I was a unit judge. Chief Justice T.S. Sinha was there, and present Prime Minister was Chief Minister. This example really, I love it. Narendra Modi was Chief Minister. And then the court building was open. There is a Takhti, name was there, inaugurated in the hand of Chief Minister Narendra Modi, this present Chief Justice, this. Then he said, and I like that your Lordship, this is your court building. As a Chief Minister, it is our duty to help financially. It is your building, you are going to manage. But I request you, when you open any other building, please don't write my name. I remember his word, because I am in a political field. It may happen that in future, I may have to come as a litigant in this court. And if my name is there, so I request you, don't write my name. As I decided without any fear or favor that he may be Chief Minister, but I was never diverted. I may tell you one example. There was a judge in Bombay High Court sitting with me in recess. I won't name him. He said that, Pradeep Bhai, I don't understand. In oath, I can understand in our judge's oath that I will decide without affection or evil, without fear or favor. But I don't know why fear word is there. Other things are all right. But why judge should have any fear? Then after something happened, if a judge only on his independent judgment, if he is punished, then if such thing is there, then the judge will keep fear in his mind. But maybe happen today, we salute Justice Khanna. He gave judgment without fear. Maybe against government, he was not elevated as Chief Justice of India. Today, his portrait is there. The judge who has superseded him and become Chief Justice, nobody remembers. But nobody is forgetting Justice Khanna, even after his death and after so many years. If a judge wants to have his goodwill, even after retirement, fear should never be kept in mind. Don't bother unless there is something wrong in your heart. If I decide dishonestly or to favor somebody, I am not a judge. But if you decide independently, honestly, objectively, and without grudge or prejudice to anyone, it is perfect. And justice will be perfect at that stage.
Right, sir. Sir, what are your post-retirement activities now?
After retirement, now I have enrolled as a senior advocate Supreme Court, just to pass time, not only for monetary thing. And there is a table where near your canteen, where we old lawyers and even some retired judges, we are sitting chit-chatting. And jurisdiction of the lawyers is unlimited.
Right.
Jurisdiction of the judges are limited, confined to the courtroom.
Right.
Our jurisdiction, everybody comes under our jurisdiction when we talk.
Right.
And we have excellent judges, but I must say Supreme Court judges are working extremely hard. As a High Court judge, at least I have not put such a great labor as Supreme Court judges putting labor, reading the matter. And in fact, sometimes they are more ready than even the lawyers when they put some query. Only thing is, sometimes little bit haste is found, because I feel that even if lawyer may be little bit longish in his argument, let him allow to complete his argument. Because sometimes lawyers, instructing lawyers are sitting, sometimes litigants is sitting, and if the impression is spoiled, unfortunately, he will be going disheartened. And nobody is perfect in this world. Nobody. And except Lord Krishna, nobody in this earth is perfect. But lawyer may commit mistake. Without harsh word, you can pass an order, but explain to him gently that what you have done is not right. And without spoiling court's atmosphere, if the matters are decided in dignified manner, if I lose the temper as a judge, it will increase my blood pressure, and my other matters will be spoiled, in the sense that even I may continue to remain in the same thing in subsequent matters. For a lawyer, if he is not arguing properly in dignified manner with a judge, that is the greatest wrong thing. The lawyer also should remember that judge is duty bound to decide one way or other. And if he is against or put some query, don't feel it bad. Because sometimes I feel that even I am not ready and the judge is more ready. And in fact, I should think that judge is doing great deed. Only thing that instead of completing the board within stipulated time, if some more time is given, result may be same. It may have better situation prevailing. But I must say that Supreme Court judges, they are putting extremely hard labor. Reading, I think they are sacrificing their Sunday.
Right.
As a lawyer, it is easy to argue and go out and enjoy in the canteen.
Right.
As a judge, your trouble starts after the arguments are over. Correct. When you are required to dictate the order.
Right. Sir, you are also...
And now I am also doing arbitration.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy that work also because arbitrator is also a judge. Sometimes one may feel that I have not under oath. Oath is not compulsory. You should be continued under oath even in doing arbitration. I remember one matter, Mr. Malkan, yes, where there was a matter referred to me where there was a dispute between landlord and tenant. And the landlord came in arbitration. The tenant is not vacating, not paying the rent. Now there was a recent judgment of Supreme Court that since Rent Act is there, arbitration clause cannot be invoked. It was. The other side argument was that, sir, but here the lease is actually expired and he is not further protected by Rent Act. That's a different thing. Then I asked the advocate of the landlord that what is your reason? He said that, sir, he has not paid rent for 3 months. And the tenant said that, sir, he has not put some better water connection, therefore I am not paying the rent. It was commercial premises. And the accumulated rent was about 70,000-80,000. Then in the first hearing, I said to the advocate that suppose if I say that matter should go to the rent court, it will take 3-4 years. The rent will be accumulated and the result will be set but after 4 years. So if your client is agreeable, I may ask the other side to vacate it after 2-3 months. And the other side said that, sir, he may withdraw the arrears of 3 months, about 1 lakh. Both the sides agreed. So the fees were required to be charged as per schedule. Whether it is over in 1 day or not, but schedule is as per quantum now.
Right.
So as per schedule, about 3-4 lakhs are required to be outstanding. Right. The matter was decided in second hearing. The landlord advocate said that, sir, I am foregoing the rent. Now matter is decided, it is not heard. If your lordship can ignore taking other fees. These advocates said, no, sir, lordship must charge the fees as per schedule. Advocate, of course, also of other view. Right. And I said that, Mr. So-and-so, both the sides are happy. And matter, I have not put any labor except suggesting something. Even issues are not framed. So I said that neither side now give me remaining fees. That gives me pleasant satisfaction. And Mr. Malkan, I may tell you, these are settlement issues. I do not see any single case which cannot be decided by settlement. There are 4 recent cases in Gujarat High Court in arbitration, 3 or 4 recently. Big stakes were there. In one, government of Gujarat was there. There was charge of computers not properly installed, this, that. Some Delhi client was there. Within 3 or 4 hearings, all the matters were settled, even in arbitration. And the advocates of both the sides, very senior advocates were appearing. They say it is great, we never contemplated. Even there was a very big arbitration going on before me. On one side, there was an American company, Procter & Gamble. Other side was a Delhi company. Their arbitration was going on for whether contract can be renewed. And very senior advocates from Supreme Court and Bombay High Court used to appear. Matter went on for 3 years. And after 3 years, they settled the matter. That Procter & Gamble, one of the biggest matter I've seen. And they said that it's a miracle that it's settled. Then they said that, sir, if the matter was heard, because I never allowed them to know on what side the matter is likely. Both the side advocate said that, sir, if the matter was heard, how the judgment would have been on which side? I said, since it's over, as in law as such, perhaps matter could have gone on the other side, but it's nice that you've settled. So I have vivid interest in various fields. But that is how it happens. And every human being is a judge. I told in one function, a lawyer is as a judge is a judge. Every human being outside the court, a husband is a judge to his wife and his children and vice versa. Judge is not only the one who is sitting in the chair. If every human being works as a judge, it will be our nicest society.
Sir, any career advice at this stage you would like to give us? Any career advice towards...
Pardon?
Sir, any career advice that you have towards us now, towards me specifically?
Oh, yeah. I advise to my junior lawyers that now the legal education is such that you have become very nice lawyers. You are very all hard-working lawyers. But please I request lawyers to read both books. One, Justice M.C. Chagla's book, Roses in December. Secondly, Fali Nariman's book, Before Memory Fades. Excellent how the lawyers, he said that while arguing the matter, lawyer should not put hand in his pocket. So otherwise it shows that he's a defendant. Various things he has cited for all lawyers. And never misguide the judge. Tell the judge frankly. If you tell facts to the judge may help you in other case.
Right, sir.
Your argument should be such that when you say that, sir, this is the matter, this is the fact, judge is not required to open the file and tell me on what page. Your word should be enough. And if that is the goodwill if you achieve, then no judge you will find that he is against you. If it is for both the sides, judge also should be such that he should not insult the lawyer. He should also be little bit calm and patience. Patience is the greatest virtue of a judge. And for judges, I may recommend a lovely book is there, Lord Denning, Sober as a Judge. Every judge must read that book. Then they will realize how you can function as a judge. And as a young lawyers, put hard labor, put frank opinion to your client. Don't say that you have a good case, give me money. Tell him that this is a weak case, I will try my best. No result is guaranteed. And I will give 100% performance. Never cheat the client, never cheat the judge, never cheat your conscience, put 100% labors, read the matter, and go with a smiling face at home. And I may tell you, if you continue as an honest, frank opinion judge, your practice is not going to suffer. You can mark it, it may increase. From my own example, I have always told my client that you have bad case, you have good case, whatever it is. And sometimes if I say that you have extremely bad case, and sometimes if I am able to convince judge for notice, he will think that, sir, even though I have weak case. And sometimes if you give advice, and if you go to other advocate, a contrary result is there, the client will feel that this lawyer gave me wrong advice. Therefore, you be careful that I will try my best, but there are the weak points in your case. Give him correct advice, and your practice may flourish. If there is a goodwill with the judge, it will not diminish. That is why I advise to all young lawyers.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malka. Please.